Malaysia's economy doesn't make noise, it moves quietly, but when you look at the numbers, it's clear it's doing better than most of its neighbors. While others are chasing headlines and growth slogans, Malaysia is focused on building real, balanced strength. The truth is, the country has managed to create an economy that's stable, diverse, and forward-looking, without losing control like many others in the region. The first reason Malaysia is quietly outperforming is balance. It's one of the few economies in Southeast Asia that isn't trapped in one sector. Oil and gas, electronics, finance, agriculture, tourism, and manufacturing all contribute. When oil prices drop, semiconductors rise. When tourism slows, exports pick up. This spread means Malaysia rarely faces total collapse from global shocks. Its GDP swings are smaller, and its recoveries are faster. The second reason is industrial maturity. For decades, Malaysia has been part of the global manufacturing chain. Penang's electronics ecosystem is world-class. Companies like Intel, AMD, Bosch, and Infineon rely on Malaysian engineers to keep production running. These aren't cheap labor jobs, they're skilled, technical, and stable. Vietnam gets attention for new factories, but Malaysia already has the full ecosystem: suppliers, engineers, logistics, and reliability. That's why global firms keep expanding here quietly. Infrastructure plays a huge role. Malaysia's highways, ports, and airports are some of the best in ASEAN. The North-South Expressway, Port Klang, and Kuala Lumpur International Airport give businesses low-cost, high-efficiency transport. Logistics costs are lower than in Indonesia or Thailand. Data infrastructure is also expanding fast. Malaysia's 5G rollout is one of the region's fastest, and data centers from Google, Amazon, and Microsoft are already being built. Reliable internet and stable electricity make digital operations smoother than in many nearby countries. Another truth few mention: Malaysia's energy advantage. Petronas, the state oil company, gives Malaysia a buffer most neighbors don't have. While Thailand and Vietnam rely heavily on imported fuel, Malaysia earns money exporting it. That means cheaper domestic power, stronger currency reserves, and stability when global energy prices spike. Investors trust economies that don't shut down factories because of power shortages. Then there's Malaysia's people. The country's workforce is educated, skilled, and multilingual. English is widely spoken, making it easy for global companies to operate here. Technical universities in Penang, Johor, and Kuala Lumpur produce engineers and IT specialists who can handle advanced manufacturing. Productivity per worker is higher than in Thailand or Indonesia. Labor isn't the cheapest, but it's efficient, and efficiency beats cheapness in the long run. Political stability also matters. Malaysia has seen leadership changes, but its institutions work. The central bank is respected, courts enforce contracts, and laws are predictable. Foreign investors prefer slow consistency over unpredictable chaos. Compared to protests in Thailand, regulatory swings in Indonesia, or political tension elsewhere, Malaysia looks calm. That calm attracts long-term money. Financial discipline is another quiet advantage. The central bank manages inflation carefully. Even when global prices rise, Malaysia doesn't spiral into crisis. Subsidies are being restructured to target those who need them most, and the government avoids reckless borrowing. Debt levels remain manageable, and foreign reserves are strong. This gives confidence that the ringgit won't suddenly crash. Stability attracts capital, not drama. Malaysia's financial sector is also unique. Kuala Lumpur is the global hub for Islamic finance outside the Middle East. The system brings in investors from Gulf countries and supports infrastructure projects through Sharia-compliant instruments. This attracts capital that Vietnam, Thailand, or Indonesia don't have access to. The Islamic bond market in Malaysia is larger and more developed than anywhere else in Asia. Digital transformation adds another layer. The Malaysia Digital Initiative pushes tech adoption across the economy. Local startups like Carsum, Aerodyne, and StoreHub are proof that the country's tech base is growing fast. Internet usage is high, and online payments have become normal across all age groups. The shift toward a digital economy is faster here than in most ASEAN countries. Malaysia's location helps too. It sits at the center of Southeast Asia, between Singapore and Thailand, with easy access to China, India, and Indonesia. The Strait of Malacca runs along its coast, one of the world's busiest trade routes. This position makes Malaysia a natural hub for logistics, warehousing, and shipping. When global supply chains shift away from China, Malaysia benefits first. Foreign investors know this. That's why companies like Tesla, Google, and Amazon are setting up operations in Malaysia. The country gives them what they need: skilled labor, affordable costs, reliable infrastructure, and political calm. It's not about being the cheapest, it's about being the most dependable. That dependability is what makes investors stay even when other markets boom and bust. Tourism is another quiet success story. Malaysia attracts millions of visitors every year for its mix of nature, culture, and affordability. Medical tourism is growing fast, with travelers from Indonesia, Singapore, and the Middle East coming for healthcare. This brings in foreign currency and creates thousands of jobs without heavy government spending. Compare Malaysia honestly to its neighbors. Vietnam grows fast, but power shortages and weak infrastructure slow factories. Indonesia has size, but bureaucracy makes investment slow. Thailand is advanced, but politics keep disrupting progress. Singapore is efficient but too expensive. Malaysia sits right in the middle, not too cheap, not too costly, but efficient and reliable. It's the balance point investors want. Exports prove it. Malaysia's export mix is sophisticated: semiconductors, chemicals, and machinery make up the majority. These high-value goods generate steady income and attract long-term manufacturing deals. Unlike resource-heavy economies, Malaysia sells what the world can't easily replace. Even during global downturns, demand for chips and electronics keeps Malaysia's export sector strong. The country's foreign reserves remain healthy, its inflation low, and its credit rating stable. These fundamentals matter more than hype. Malaysia rarely makes the news for big crashes or currency meltdowns because it manages risk instead of ignoring it. The digital economy is another bright spot. Cashless payments, e-commerce, and fintech are normal across Malaysia. The government supports tech innovation through grants and digital infrastructure spending. As more ASEAN economies move online, Malaysia already has a head start. Then there's the green transition. Malaysia is investing in solar, hydrogen, and EV technology. Petronas is shifting into renewables, and new manufacturing plants for electric vehicle components are opening in Selangor and Johor. This prepares Malaysia for future industries instead of relying on old ones. It's slow progress, but it's steady and real. Malaysia's middle class also keeps its economy strong. Domestic spending makes up most of GDP. Even when exports slow, Malaysians continue to spend on housing, food, and education. This internal demand prevents recessions. The country's consumer market is educated, digitally connected, and confident. Social stability is another advantage that outsiders underestimate. Despite being multi-ethnic and multi-religious, Malaysia remains peaceful. This allows businesses to operate without fear of civil unrest. Investors like predictability, and Malaysia delivers it. While others chase headlines with high growth rates, Malaysia focuses on sustainability. That's why it doesn't crash when the cycle turns. The country's growth might seem moderate, but it's controlled, measured, and rooted in real productivity. Over the last decade, Malaysia's GDP per capita has risen faster than Thailand's and Indonesia's, while inequality has fallen slightly. That means growth is not only steady but more inclusive. Malaysia's currency, the ringgit, reflects the country's economic truth. It's flexible, not pegged. It adjusts gradually, keeping exports competitive without creating panic. The central bank doesn't interfere excessively but steps in when needed. That kind of discipline earns global respect. The next decade looks even stronger. The government's Madani economic framework focuses on innovation, sustainability, and inclusivity. It's not about growth at any cost, it's about growth that lasts. By pushing renewable energy, digital trade, and skills development, Malaysia is positioning itself for the industries of the future. Compare that to others again. Vietnam and Indonesia rely heavily on manufacturing and resources. Thailand's tourism dependence is risky. Singapore's high costs are a barrier for new investors. Malaysia combines parts of all of them: industry like Vietnam, logistics like Singapore, tourism like Thailand, and resources like Indonesia, but with a stronger middle ground. The truth is simple. Malaysia doesn't need to shout about its success. Its growth is steady, its institutions are sound, and its economy is balanced. It's not the fastest, but it's one of the safest. It doesn't overpromise, and that's why it delivers. While others race ahead and stumble, Malaysia walks steadily forward. It may be quiet, but it's consistent. And in a world of fragile economies, quiet strength is what lasts.